The fastest way to make a RAG system hallucinate is not missing data. It is giving the model too much of the wrong data.
Exactly. A lot of teams think hallucination means the retriever failed to find enough context. But very often, the real failure is pollution. The model gets relevant facts mixed with nearby, plausible, irrelevant text, and then it confidently blends them.
So the bug is not absence, it is contamination.
Right. And that matters because contamination is harder to notice. If nothing is retrieved, the answer looks thin. If noisy context is retrieved, the answer looks rich, specific, and wrong.
That is the dangerous version. It sounds like your best system because it speaks with detail.
Here is a concrete example. Say a user asks, "What is our refund policy for annual plans?" Retrieval pulls the current policy doc, but also an old support playbook, a sales FAQ about promotional exceptions, and a legal note on regional consumer rights. Every document is adjacent to the topic. Only one actually answers the question. The model now has ingredients for a polished lie.
And a team might celebrate that because the answer mentions timelines, edge cases, and policy language.
Yes, but those details came from the wrong sources. The model is not refusing uncertainty. It is resolving conflict by improvising.
Where does this creep in? If I'm building the pipeline, where are the leak points?
3 common places. First, query formation. The user asks one thing, but the system expands it into a broader intent and invites semantically similar but decision-irrelevant material. Second, retrieval and re-ranking. Items with the same vocabulary outrank the ones with the actual governing fact. Third, prompt assembly. You concatenate multiple passages with different time scopes, audiences, or authorities. Then ask for one clean answer.
So the model is forced to act like a diplomat between conflicting witnesses.
That is a good way to put it. And unless you explicitly preserve source boundaries and authority, it will often average them into a story.
Give me another scenario where this hurts people fast.
Internal engineering support. A developer asks, "How do I rotate database credentials in production?" Retrieval brings the current runbook, an incident postmortem discussing a temporary workaround, and a staging guide with similar command names. The answer combines all 3. It looks efficient. In production, it can cause downtime.
So, irrelevant context is not just noise. It changes the power balance. The model starts trusting the loudest text, not the right text.
Exactly. Similarity is not authority. Recency is not authority. Word overlap is not authority. In RAG, the winner is the passage that both matches the question and deserves to govern the answer.
How do you know this is your failure mode instead of a weak model or a bad prompt?
Look for conflict sensitivity. If the answer gets worse when you add more retrieved passages, that is a clue. If accuracy drops as top K rises, that is a big clue. If the model changes answers when you shuffle passage order, you probably have contamination and authority confusion.
That is great because it is testable. More context should not make the system dumber.
Exactly. Another signal is citation mismatch. The answer cites one passage, but the key claim actually came from a different or unsupported passage. You can also inspect whether wrong answers correlate with mixed timestamps, mixed document types, or mixed audiences in a retrieved set.
Can you make that concrete in evaluation terms, not vibes?
Sure. Build a test set where the gold answer depends on one governing document. Then deliberately introduce distractors that are topically similar but wrong for the question. Measure answer accuracy with and without distractors. Measure source attribution accuracy. Measure performance across different top K values. Improvement means the system resists distractors and keeps grounding claims in the governing source.
So, the benchmark is not just, did retrieval find something related? It is, did the system ignore tempting nonsense?
Yes, good RAG is selective under pressure. Anyone can retrieve a pile of related text. The hard part is preserving decision relevance when the context window is full of almost right material.
What do strong teams change once they see this?
They stop treating all retrieved text as equal evidence. They rank by authority, freshness, and task fit, not just semantic closeness. They keep source metadata visible. They isolate conflicting passages instead of blending them. and they let the model say, these sources disagree, rather than forcing a fake synthesis.
That sounds less like retrieval tuning and more like evidence design.
It is. The strategic shift is from maximizing recall to controlling influence. If irrelevant context can steer generation, then every extra passage is not free.
And the losers are the teams that brag about rich context while shipping confident errors.
Exactly. In RAG, hallucination often starts before generation. When bad evidence gets a seat at the table, the model does what models do. It turns confusion into prose.
That is the clip. More context does not mean more truth. In RAG, irrelevant evidence is gasoline for hallucination.